I've never seen such a large collection of ferns in one place. I think I was of the opinion that ferns struggle to grow in Zambia, but you are proving me wrong.
I love ferns a lot, actually. I love ferns.
It makes sense.
Yeah, so next to my greens, the phyllos and all, I love ferns because, I mean, they're also green. And for some reason, you are saying that they're a bit difficult to keep, but for me, I've had quite some success with them, you know. Maybe I'll start with this too.
Yeah.
So there's this guy here. I don't know this. You forgive me. I don't know the sub names, but I just know that they're all different. So this one is I'll call it a falling fern. I don't know where originally it comes from, but this is something that is very beautiful. You can have it as your centerpiece in your home. So I have another one here. So some of them are not in the best of shapes. I'm yet to trim out a few and just prune them out, but you will notice that there's quite a variety. So we have the rabbit's foot here. This is a rabbit's foot fern.
And it's called a rabbit's foot because the roots are furry like rabbit's feet.
Exactly. Yeah, so with this, you notice that it does so well in a bigger pot. So I think I need to actually even repot it because it doesn't have enough room to spread. So I need to change the potting, and also you notice it's browning on most of the tips. So this is a sign that these are aged leaves which need to be removed and pruned. But then also it's also a sign that it hasn't been fed in a while. So I need to repot and feed it so that it looks a little more lush. Then there is this should be a Boston yellow fern.
Yes.
Yeah, the golden fern. Yeah, so you notice that it's called the Boston yellow fern because of the color. So ordinarily this is supposed to be the original color. So it's got a bit of some patches because of where it is. It's getting bits and pieces of sun. So some parts look a bit burnt because of the sun, but ordinarily this is supposed to be the normal color in its full glory. Yeah, and then we have this one here. I don't know what it's called, but it's also a very beautiful fern. The texture is a bit rough to the touch. It's got small leaves, almost like the maidenhair type of leaves, but this is what it looks like up close. Yeah, so you notice that with ferns, what makes them unique is they love a lot of water. Okay, so from my experience growing ferns, I've realized that the more water you give them, the happier they become. So you can feed once in a while. So depending on what your calendar feeding schedule looks like, you can feed them like once every month or once every 2 weeks, depending on how much food or they'll need at that time.
I also notice you have this wonderful potting mix in here.
Oh yes.
What exactly do you pot your ferns into?
Okay, so this one is primarily my normal mix, like my ordinary mix, where I just do pine bark, a bit of compost. If I have some charcoal shards, I'm able to find some charcoal shards somewhere. I'm able to add those also. And then I have
I see peanut shells as well.
Yes,
as part of the mix.
Yeah, some groundnut shells as well, if you can see. And then also just to add a bit of some depth to the soil mix, I like adding goat manure because it's a slow release manure.
Yeah.
So you notice that even if I don't feed them in a while, they have enough food because it's a slow release manure, so they're able to have enough food, like to feast on.
And I think this makes a lot of sense because in their natural environments, ferns tend to grow in areas where there's a lot of organic matter lying on top, a lot of humus, fallen leaves and stuff like that. So by putting in this natural materials, it's very similar to the top layer in the jungle environment.
Definitely. And then there are all these other types of ferns which I don't know the sub name, but yeah. So we have this is silver something. I've forgotten the name, but you can see what makes it beautiful is the foliage with the silver line in the center. And then we have this one here. Okay, we have this type. Then there's this one here. I'm also not sure which one this is, but yeah.
Who would you say is the best fern seller? Like if I want to buy ferns, where would I get a good selection of ferns from?
Good selection of ferns. I think, well, Rose Garden has a bit of.
They have quite a few, yes.
They have quite a few. My mentor, Mrs. Piri, Bellita, should have quite a number. I'm not really sure if, maybe I just don't know, but I'm not sure who, like within Lusaka, our Lusaka or Zambia, has a collection of ferns that I know of anyway. So I could be wrong, but for ferns, I'm not really sure.
Okay, so this is stuff you've collected slowly over time from people's gardens.
I think collectively I have about 35 different types of ferns. So this, like you said, hasn't happened overnight. I was collecting slowly. Yeah, so wherever I find a different fern that I don't have. So like this one, this should be the carrot fern. I think I got this from Ndola, from a gardener called Mrs. Musichili. She's a mature older gardener, very sweet lady that I got that, and a couple of, I think 3 or 4 other types of ferns from. And then this one is it's more like an asparagus fern, but not the ordinary asparagus that most people know. So this is a little different, very unique, and falls almost like these guys. Okay, so depending on where you put it, you only enjoy its beauty when you really give it enough room for it to really, you know, like do its magic. And then there's this little guy here who most people do not really like, this guy, because the heart-shaped fern, it's always dying on people. So this is my attempt at growing it, I think, for the 10th time. So it tends to die back and come back if you're lucky. If not, you have to just, you know, like buy a new one altogether. Then there's what we call the crocodile fern. This one is, I think you can see from the texture of the leaves, you know, the texture of the leaf itself, it does look a little scaly, you know. This is a disease right here. Okay, it looks very scaly, almost like a crocodile. So that would be like your crocodile fern. Yeah, so I think that is pretty much it about the ferns. I don't know if there's any other maybe that you've spotted that looks a little different.
No, I think you've covered most of them.
Yeah.
I'm actually no, this blue one here. What is this?
So
this is an interesting color.
I've forgotten the name. I've really forgotten the name, but yeah, this is also an interesting one because it grows like a crawler. It's more like the rabbit's foot, yeah, but with bigger leaves. Yeah,
because you've created a protected space. I know ferns don't like,
yes,
you know, so there isn't too much wind disturbing these. And so there's a little humidity
yes.
cloud in here where in which they're thriving.
And then also the other thing I needed to point out is plants always grow better in clusters. I know most people would say don't cluster all your plants together, but there's that exchange of humidity, you know, that rubs off on each other's leaves or foliage, and it helps them to thrive better like that. So when you cluster your plants like this, especially according to their types, it makes it all the more interesting and exciting for them to, you know, blossom and grow better together like that.
And then one more question. In
please.
Hot season, because that's a difficult time for plants like this. How do you protect them? How do you keep them thriving?
For me, I've realized that in the hot season, one of the ways that I deal with these guys is I give them what you call this? You mulch. You mulch.
Okay.
Yeah. So you put mulch on top so that they don't. How can I explain? I know it sounds strange that you're mulching in the hot season, but I think I've noticed by putting that layer on top, it sort of like protects them from having that direct heat get onto the surface of the soil. Yeah, to get directly onto the surface of the soil, and it sort of like helps. But like I said, lots of water. also helps. Yeah, so with these guys, the trick is put as much water as possible. Other people would say, no, but you know, for me, my fence, even if I don't. So I always say with gardening, it's not a one size fits all. I'll give you what works for me. If it might not work for you, it's understandable, but that is what works for me. So I give him a lot of water, and also just ensure that this space is almost always like cool, you know. It almost always stays as cool as possible.
I know some people even put water on the ground.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Just so that it just...
That too. So yeah, so like with my gardener, the way we give him a lot of water, and then allow the water to just, you know, sip through. If need be, we put under plates in the pots so that there's that excess water that they can feed on, you know, in the times where they're not getting. Yes, please. So I was talking about I think the last set of ferns that we needed to talk about. So there's this little one here called cotton candy fern, one that's hanging up here. You can see how happy.
Wow. That looks like moss.
Yes. How happy and lush it is. It's quite sensitive, but the trick with this guy is water, lots of water. So it needs a bit of some pruning in there, but for the most part, you give it enough water, enough moisture, and it will shine. So I noticed if it's not getting enough water, the leaves turn grayish. Yeah, they tend to turn grayish. But if it has enough water, it's smiling, it's happy, it becomes this green. Yeah, then there's this guy as well who seems to be very happy here. I don't know the name, but yeah, this guy also seems to be doing so well here. Yes, then there's this other one maybe that we can also point out. So this is also a falling fern. It grows just as long as the first one that I highlighted. Yeah, if you notice how even the texture of the leaf is a little different from the normal ferns I've shown you. So this one also grows all the way up to the base, depending on where you put it. So yeah. And then there's this guy that we've added here just for
string of hearts.
For control. Yeah, so this guy was by my kitchen veranda and wasn't doing so well. So I said, okay, let's try something. So I brought it here and decided, okay, let me see how you fare. And I can see it's really happy. You can see the size of the leaf. Yeah. So ordinarily you wouldn't see the string of hearts this big in terms of the leaves, but based on the environment that it's in, I think it's happy.